right, so yeah, like Teddy said, we're going to talk a little bit about the female audience of gamers, also kind of known as the players who play casual games. And of course there's men who play casual games, of course there's women who play hardcore games, but if we look at the majorities of the players who play casual games, it is women, and usually above a certain age, above 30 we defined. So that is actually the audience that I'm focusing on with the games that I publish. So I would like to focus a little bit more about that and share my experience. First of all, some fun little stats why it's really worth it to focus on this audience. This is like an over-index, so it shows that women gamers, they make about 31% more in-app purchases and spend about 35% more time in their apps than male gamers. So they're definitely worth your attention also from a monetization point of view. So what I find really interesting is how come there is such a big difference between male gamers and female gamers. Because when we look at the 70s, when gaming started to become a thing with the first gaming consoles, you look at this advertising for the game Odyssey too, and you see this man and a woman both having fun, both playing like they're equals. And when you look at the graphics of the game, there's nothing gender specific about it. You know, this game could really be for anyone. The thing is, in 1983, the game industry had a big crash. It's because a lot of developers were making games very fast. It was like this gold mine. A lot of people were jumping on making games, and actually the quality of games became really bad. And because the quality of games became really bad, consumers stopped buying games. So the game industry crashed in 1983. And what happened next is that the surviving game developers started to become more smart about their marketing and about their product development. So they had a look at the gaming industry and they found out that slightly more men than women were buying games. So all the marketing was all of a sudden aimed at men, which means that in the 80s, game industry marketing looked like this. And of course, women are not attracted by this kind of advertising. It's not for me, clearly. So that's when, especially on console games, the whole industry started taking more of a turn towards games for men. However, there are some exceptions throughout the years. For example, when we look at Monkey Island, which was a point-and-click game, really a casual, friendly experience. There was basically no way to fail, and even if you failed, it was kind of funny, and you immediately restarted from the same point. Mysts, completely relaxing exploration, no scary things, no things you couldn't fail at. I mean, if you were doing bad, it just meant that the game took longer to complete, and that was all. Of course, there was The Sims, the first game that started focusing more on kind of a home situation, where just living at home suddenly became a game. 2006, the introduction of the Wii, when it was more about actually the experience of how you game and gaming with other people, than more about the game content itself. And then, of course, online, at the same time, there were so many different types of games that were appealing to so many different players, like Bejeweled, Bookworm, Mahjong, all kind of old sort of existing games that already existed offline. But from that moment on, they also started to exist as an online variation. So kind of about the profile of a casual gamer. There is kind of this stereotype that all casual gamers are housewives, and I tried really hard to prove it wrong, but there is truth in it. When we look at the casual gamer, it is kind of the women over 30, and especially in America, when you look at the demographic and the financial situation, there's a lot of basically women who either have part-time jobs or, thank you, found it. So women who have part-time jobs or who are stay-at-home moms, for example. And the funny thing is they don't call themselves gamers at all. They don't identify with the term gaming. When you ask them if they're playing games, they'll say, no, I don't play games. And then you have a look at their phone, and you see that they're playing, Candy Crush, for example, and then you ask them how often do you play it, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm level 263. I think I play it 2 hours a day. And that, of course, they're a gamer in our perception because they spend a lot of time playing the games, but they don't see themselves as gamers. So you will not find this audience, for example, on a gaming media like Steam, or you will not find them, for example, streaming their games on Twitch. So it's kind of a different audience when you look at how this audience perceives themselves and how you reach out to them. And they will also not be the people with the latest technology. They will not have this giant kind of Razer, game computer or something. They will probably have a tablet or a phone that they prefer to game on. And a key point that also opened my eyes is they don't talk about their games. It's not like at a birthday party that they are kind of sharing their games experience. And I experienced it also firsthand when I posted something on my Facebook wall about a game that I was testing, a game that I was going to publish. And I tested it for 2.5 hours, got completely lost in time, posted something silly about it on my Facebook. And all of a sudden, a lot of friends, a lot of female friends who I've known for years, some of these I've known for 10 years, they said, oh my God, I love those games. I didn't know you published them. And I didn't know that they were playing it. And they're my best friends, and I've known them for 10 years, but we never talk about our games. So this was really an eye-opening moment for me as well. A bit of the statistics. Casual games are also kind of an entry market for gamers. So when we look at people who play a mobile game for the first time of their life, 39% chooses a casual game as their first game, and 45% of those people make their first payment in a casual game. So even if you're creating mid-core or hardcore games, casual games are an interesting market to keep an eye out for because they bring you your new generation of players. And like quickly touched on before, you will not find them on like hardcore dedicated gaming media. You will find them more on kind of more accessible platforms like tablets and like phones, typical devices that they can use for other things as well. Like they can say like, oh, I have my e-reader because I love to read books, and hey, I can play games on it as well. Isn't that great? Another thing that is what I found very typical for this audience is the game sessions, where 5 minutes as an average game session might not sound very long, but keep in mind that this is also, in this calculation, it's included the people who download the game and never open it. So the average of 5 minutes is about 2 minutes longer than the average amount of game time from mid-core games. These players are social gamers, but not at first. They first want to have the feeling that they completely understand what they're dealing with and how to play the game. So at first they're not very confident about their gaming behavior. So at first they really prefer a safe and single player experience before they go out, before they go online and start to basically game socially, game maybe maybe a multiplayer or by challenging their friends on Facebook, for example. Because they're complete newbies at gaming. So first they want to like build up some experience before they feel comfortable showing their skills to others. And typically the motivation of these gamers is different as well, where hardcore gamers might really enjoy shooting an opponent in the face. These people are more gaming for different reasons. They don't game because they want to be the best. They game because they want to have a connection with people who really like the same type of games, or they want to improve their own skills. For example, of the hidden object games that I publish, a lot of people tell me that they play these games because they want to train their eyes, or they want to train their hand-eye coordination. And self-expression is a really important one as well, where Players really love it when there's something they can build up. So for example, one of my most popular games is called Home Makeover, where you play hidden object levels, and with the money you earn in hidden object levels, you can buy new furniture to redecorate your house. And this design element also attracts a lot of people. So making a casual game does not mean that you take your mid-core game and that you make it simpler and make it look cute and fluffy. That's not how a casual game works. A casual game is fundamentally different from a mid-core or a hardcore game. Keep in mind that these players who are completely new to gaming on mobile or on laptop, keep in mind that these players don't know the kind of gaming culture that we grew up with. Maybe you and I grew up playing, for example, platformer games like Super Mario, but these people didn't. So they don't necessarily know that in a platformer game you need to jump on the head of an enemy. They don't necessarily know that A is for shooting. So during designing your game, you really have to think about how you're going to explain an enjoyable gaming scenario to these people without taking them too much by the hand and without trying to explain absolutely every aspect. It's from the design phase onwards. You have to think of basically making this game enjoyable for people who do not have prior gaming experience. I think we're all probably very familiar with the fact that casual games is a very, very crowded market to be in. Here, for example, of all these match 3 games, they look very similar. About 5 of them have jewels, 4 of them have a cute animal in it, 3 of them focus on history. So they're all very, very similar. They all seem to be doing the same thing. From experience, how we try to stand out is this is our match 3 game, where first of all the icon looks very different, and then when you look at the gameplay, it's more than just match 3. It's actually it's a game that features it's a sort of a detective story, and you have to solve quests to progress. And in this level map, you can decide where to click on different levels, and you upgrade those. And then there's collections you can complete, and there's things you can exchange, gifts you can exchange with friends. There's achievements to get. There's relics to build. So there's a lot of different side content and side quests. So typically, this game takes about 100 hours to finish before you have all the collections complete. So it really, really keeps people engaged a lot. And that's basically what my advice would also be to anyone who wants to build casual games now is try to find a way to diversify from what is already there. If your match 3 game is going to be the next game that just has 100 levels of matching gems, you're not going to make it, because you're going to get lost in a sea of competitors. So really try to do something different. Then some data about the way of retaining casual gamers. Device notifications are a very important way of trying to retain your player. The best moment to message your player is 8 hours after they logged out of their last session. Statistically, that is the moment when they are, looking for another game to play. About 11% doesn't come back anymore if they haven't played your game for 24 hours, and 97% don't come back if they haven't played your game for 30 days. So when you're talking to a publisher and they're asking you for your day 30 retention, that's why they want to know, because they know that this metric of trying to be one of those 3% games who tries to retain the players, that's the top games that make it. And I would really advise you to talk to your audience. From my experience, they're very loyal if you treat them like human beings. So with the Tamalaki Publishing, it's me and 3 part-timers, and all the 3 part-timers focus on customer engagement. So, answering support email, being active on the social media, replying to all the reviews in the stores, basically showing our players that we appreciate them and that we listen to them, and that we really try to fix the bugs that they come up with. And if they have feedback to the game or something, that we're really interested to hear what they have to say. And that's why about 40% of our audience crosses over to our other games. So if they have played one game from Tamalaki, then they're going to play more. And basically another way to in the stores to really make sure that you get noticed. There's nowadays lots of features to A/B test your icons. This is a super important step because your icon is going to be mainly the only thing that players are going to see when they're skimming through the stores. So really make sure that you have at least 6 icons to test and A/B test and see which one gets the highest click-through rate. So for example, with this one, we saw that with the woman facing towards us, we got about 9% more click-through rate. Or with this game, when we had the Christmas update, showing the Christmas update on the icon also proved a 12% higher engagement rate. So these are very valuable ways of retaining and getting new players without spending money. Last slide of some statistics about casual gamers. Less than 5% spends on in purchases. That is pretty sort of standard for the mobile industry nowadays. I think for mid-core and hardcore games, this is a little bit higher, but for casual gamers, it's really less than 5%. And they typically make their first in-app purchase within, after 16 days. So if you have ways to kind of track how long your player has been active in your game, it would be a good idea to show them a special offer after 16 days to really pull them over to the side of people who spend. Also, rewarded videos, it's been touched upon a few times before today and yesterday by other speakers. Rewarded videos is a very good way to monetize this audience. About 4 to 10% they watch the rewarded videos, and with basically all those offers from advertisers that they see, we get an average revenue per user of like $3.38. And also they don't immediately take the first ad offer they see. So when a user is new to your game, don't push all those ad offers immediately in their face because you'll scare them away. It's better to wait a few days until they're really fully engaged and love your game, and then show them the first offers. Ad optimization, there's a lot of companies out there. These are just a few. This is just half of it probably. And it's really, really difficult to find the right partners. But if you do, this is a slide of our revenue. The blue and the green one is advertising, and the gray is in-app purchases. And as you see, we get a lot more revenue from our advertising, and mainly from our rewarded videos. And that's because we put so much time into optimizing them, so it's really worth it. So thank you so much for your attention, and if there's any questions, I'll be outside. Thank you.